Hello, my little pretties. What is up? It's your mistress, the Shadow Lioness here, and today we are going to review another episode of Teen Titans, and this is the 19th episode of the whole series, 6th episode of the second season, whatever you guys prefer to call it. And today in this episode we're reviewing today is called Date with Destiny. Now, some people may have liked this episode because, well, it's a pretty interesting episode, and some people may not like this episode, which I could really understand. If you guys don't like the episode, that's fine, and if you like the episode, that's cool. Now, basically, in this episode, introduce two new villains. One happened to be Killer Moth, Kitten, who is his daughter, and Fang, who is an ex-boyfriend. Now, basically, what happens is Killer Moth plans to, have his entire swarm take over the city when his daughter Kitten starts having a meltdown over the fact that her ex-boyfriend Fang broke up with her, and she starts ranting about it. So basically, Killer Moth tries to calm her down, but she says, "Oh, I have a prom and I don't want to go by myself." I'm like, why couldn't she just ask some of her friends to go with her? If she had any friends, she would ask them if they could go with her. Like, not everybody has to go, have a boyfriend to go on the prom. Like, some people, just go with friends. Like, that's just one of the reasons why it's just as the way it is. Now, personally, on my opinion, I went to two proms. One was my ex boyfriend's prom, which I believed that was a couple years ago, and that was in 2016, I believe. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. And then there was another time where I had prom, when I was graduating high school, which that was in 2018. So I did have my prom then. So before I get on with this episode, if you guys have been to prom or something, just let me know in the comments below if you've been to a high school prom, because I'm sure most of us have, with either friends or a boyfriend or a girlfriend, whatever you guys decide to do. Also, what happens in this episode is this Robin, along with the Titans, they end up getting a crime alert that someone was stealing jewelry, which was Fang. Because, however, though, how I noticed that is that he had a body of, like, a human, but his head was a spider. So it's kind of like almost a Spider Man. Not really a Spider Man ripoff. Like, I shouldn't say that, because Spider Man is 100 times different compared to this character that I'm looking at. Now, basically, the Titans um, find out that it's Killer Moth. So, however, though, Cyborg, Beast Boy, and Raven go to stop Killer Moth. Well, meanwhile, Starfire and Robin stayed back because in case if they need backup. However, though, the bridge was coming apart and Cyborg calls for backup, but just as Starfire and Robin were about to go help, um, Killer Moth comes in and tells Robin that he needs to take Kitten, his daughter, to prom. At first, Robin refuses to do that, and it was a date, and Starfire, this is when Starfire gets really jealous of Kitten. Like, Kitten looks nothing attractive. And so basically Robin only dates, well, not date Kitten, but only takes Kitten out to prom. But just that, Starfire was sent to go, help the Titans with Killer Moth. Unfortunately, though, it didn't go well, as when Robin gets to prom, he sees Starfire, and Starfire says that she is going to investigate Kitten thoroughly. So basically, the prom is taking place on a cruise ship, which is like a date with destiny. So that's basically a prom type episode. So when Kitten gets there, she ends up telling Robin that she's excited to see him and all that, and she gets all mushy and all that. Robin is starting to feel uncomfortable with that because, it's Kitten and not Starfire. So he obviously does feel, uncomfortable with that. So basically, the prom goes on, and Starfire sees that Kitten was trying to kiss Robin, so Starfire, you know, gets mad at that point, and basically when Fang walks in here, he shows up, who is Kitten's ex-boyfriend, says that he's sorry for the argument and stuff like that. So basically, the fight's going on between Fang and Robin, um and Starfire and Kitten have this fight too. So basically, there's two fights happening at the same time on the ship. Now, however, though, Killer Moth's minions were about to escape, so Raven, Cyborg, and Beast Boy had to block off all areas, and they're fighting Killer Moth at the same time. So, however, though, Robin finishes off Kitten and all the moths that turn back into larvae that Killer Moth was originally going to have him attack. So basically, the villains get arrested, and Robin and Starfire have their final dance, since it's King and Queen of Prom. So basically, that's wraps up the episode. Now, what I actually think about this episode is actually like almost kind of like a preparation for people that are going to prom. Like, for people who watch this episode or have seen this episode, you probably will have known, if you're going to go to prom one day, there's some things right here that you can do and can't do. One of them being you cannot do in a prom is obviously fight. So, like, basically physical fighting, that's not allowed at prom, obviously. But yeah, that's kind of like almost a preparation for people if they're gonna go to prom. Like, I had my high school prom twice. Well, reason for twice is I went to my ex-boyfriend's prom, back in 2016. I am not going to mention his name for privacy reasons. And I went to prom, just almost 2 years ago, and I obviously found that to be pretty fun. Now, prom is actually kind of like a celebration for all the graduating high school kids, and I actually found it to be a lot of fun, actually. Like, I actually enjoyed prom because it's a party, and I really do feel that this is actually a really interesting episode. Now, some people may have seen this episode. I'm sure most of you guys who have grown up with the original Teen Titans have seen this episode, and some people may have not grown up with this episode. But, that's kind of hard to say because, well, that's just basically the opinion on something. Now, however, though, I'm going to say right now that this is simply my own personal opinion on this episode. Now, I like the concept of itself of the episode to be pretty good. The storyline is just amazing of how the episode went out, and the animation's good, the voice acting's good. If I could say one thing negative, I didn't like Kitten. Like, it's a negative. I know some people were like, well, why are you giving this episode a negative? Well, just hear me out. I didn't like Kitten in this episode. Kitten seemed to be too, obsessed with Robin, I could see in this episode that she is like very up over the moon obsessed with Robin. I don't understand why that's the case, but that's just what it is. It's basically basically Robin's like getting annoyed with Kitten is because Kitten's obsessed with him. Now, I don't really understand why Kitten was obsessed with Robin, but there was no need for her to do all the things that she did to Robin. Now, what could have been done a little better is maybe they could have added, maybe more to it. Like, basically add, like, why the prom is so important to Kitten. Like, is Kitten in high school or something? That's actually the questions I have to find. It's like, is Kitten in high school? Why is she saying this prom is important to her? Like, why couldn't she just go out with friends and not choose Robin? Like, those are actually the questions of this episode that I have to say. I know there are a few negatives, but still, I'm really still gonna just say right now, I didn't like Kitten. I didn't like her in the episode, and I never did. Now, like I'm always gonna say, this is simply my own personal opinion. If you disagree with me, that's okay too. Now, for my final rating of this episode, I am going to say I'm going to give this one a 8.5 out of 10. The reason why I'm giving it an 8.5 out of 10 is because, well, I don't like Kitten. I never liked her because she was obsessed with Robin. And another thing is, and another negative I'd say is, why was prom so important to Kitten? Why couldn't she, ask some of her friends? Is she in high school? Those are the questions that I have in mind. But other than that, this episode is just really well done. Like I'm saying, this episode did very well done, and I actually like the animation, the storyline, the concept, everything about this episode. Now, anyways, what did you think about this episode? Did you enjoy it? Did you not? Also, what would you have done personally to help make this story episode a lot better? Leave me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section down below. I'm the Shadow Linus. Thank you so much for watching today's episode, and like always, I'll be heading out of there, so peace out and see you all later.